live. I am reading out of Lord of the Horizon. It is one of Joan Marshall Grant's farm memory books. This is about her life as Ra-Ab. Ra-Ab we already met in the Eyes of Horus. The Eyes of Horus was about the overthrow of the dark forces, Set. And he is now in the Oryx, and we are here in chapter 13. He has got 2 children, Ra-Ab, a daughter, a younger daughter and an older son. And chapter 13 is entitled Return of Nekht. Though I was far from being a priest of Anubis, I had sufficient true dreams to recognize which were records of actual experience and which were only a produce of hopes and fears clothed with a semblance of reality. Now that Mary and I shared our waking day, we did not so often remember the life we shared during sleep, for the effort of memory absorbs much vital energy unless one is fully trained in the use of this faculty. To Mary and me, the gods had been so generous that we were seldom parted, and when we could exchange our thoughts in words, there was no need to use a more subtle perception. So I was surprised when 3 times in 7 nights Mary and I shared the same dream, describing it to each other in detail when we woke. It was a familiar type of experience, talking with someone we knew to be a close friend on matters concerning the lives of the people under our care. To talk with someone whose name on earth I did not know was also familiar, for all of us have links with people who are not born in our century or who live in distant countries. Yet, just as a vivid dower stands out against white foliage, so did Mary and I know that the 4th person who took part in these 3 conversations which she and I shared with Beodhan was of vital importance to us both. We agreed that it was a man, mature in both mind and body, yet younger than ourselves in years. We even remembered that Royden had called him Nekht, the one who has power, and that Royden had said, "He is my son." "It wasn't Hanuk," said Mary, "and Royden has no other son." He must have meant that the man who was the child of his spirit. He once told me that the one who inherits from him the 2nd Lord of the Horizon will be known as his son. "Nekht," said Mary thoughtfully. We both remembered his name is Nekht. I wonder when he was born and when he will come to the Oryx. Will Royden recognize him at once, or will even they take time to renew their friendship? "You think he is already on Earth?" "Don't you?" He looked 20, but his authority may have made him seem older than his years. If his name is in truth Nekht, he would wear the body of maturity away from Earth, even though he were still a baby while awake. He may be newly born, or still a boy, or even a man who's very old, yet who is wise enough not to be encumbered by years when he is free of their limitations. "You don't think he could be Amenemhet, do you?" said Mary. "I remember that when I saw him I wished that he was my son." "No, he wasn't Amenemhet. We should both have recognized him, no matter what form he happened to be wearing." "Of course we should. I hope Nekht comes soon to the Oryx. I have never seen him except in a dream, and yet in a sense I'm lonely for his company. I can never really be lonely now that I have found you, my Ra-Ab, but perhaps we are both a little lonely for him." A year later we were no longer lonely for Nekht. He was born to us as a son. When Nekht was 14 years old, Mary and I took him to stay at the house which Royden had recently built, at the horizon of Horus. Instead of an outer courtyard, there was a small formal garden where grew many of the rare plants which had been brought to him from foreign countries. As Mary, carrying the baby in her arms, walked up the central path, she looked young as on the day when she had brought Amenemhet to my tent, the day of the dawn over Egypt. Royden stood looking down at the sleeping child. Then, with his forefinger, he touched him on brow, eyelids, and breast. "He has returned to us from another day's journey," he said, "to you and Ra-Ab and to myself. And though he called us by other names, the love between us will be as familiar to him as the rays of the sun, which do not change with the centuries." "You are sure that he is Nekht?" asked Mary. "Quite sure, and so are you. Why do you question your integrity?" "I don't question it in my heart," she answered with a smile, "but when I am asleep, he's so much wiser than I. Even you and Ra-Ab sometimes accept his counsel. Yet he cries and kicks and pulls at my breast just like my other babies. He likes his neck patted, and sometimes he complains when he is washed. At such times I try to forget his name is Nekht, in case he should feel humiliated by being taken at a disadvantage. As he is in truth Nekht, he can suffer no humiliation, for he has already passed those of the 42 assessors who asked, "Hast thou seen thy shadow on the wall and thought it mighty? And also, hast thou a vision of thyself in thine heart in honor?" He will not think of himself either as more or less than he is judged by the scales of Tahuti. He will neither be blinded by conceit nor refuse to accept responsibility which is rightful to him. Is not humility knowing one's own place on the ladder which reaches to the stars? Mary laughed. "I am content, Rodan, to know that even the most loyal rituals of the toilet could not embarrass Nekht, the power-bearing. A man cannot be humiliated by anything unless he has seen himself as though in a wind-ruffled pool, which distorts the true image. To suffer humiliation, one must judge oneself by the opinion of others. If one says, 'This act will make people think less of me,' one has become influenced by fear. And if one says, 'Surely this act must make men admire me,' one tries to grasp something which does not exist. The wise man knows that though the multitude acclaim him, his stature will not increase even by a thumb joint, and if all the people of his country call him traitor and fool, he will not be diminished by so much as a grain of dust." Royden smiled. "If you were to say that I am an inconsiderate host for engaging you in conversation when you must be tired after your journey, you would speak the truth. But I would not be humiliated, for I know that the love between us is too strong to be affected by my discourtesy. There is no refreshment so welcome as hearing you talk," said Mary. "Nekht can go to Niam, while we who are older, though perhaps not so wise, can talk of his future, and to it drink a toast." Before we returned home, Royden said to us, "Though you have already proved yourself to be most admirable parents, and advice from me might sound presumptuous if we were not such close friends, I want to remind you both that until Nekht himself recognizes it, you must not tell him of what we believe to be his future. Nekht must not feel he is weighed down by destiny, for though you and I know that with a little training he can again become a priest, The choice lies with himself. He may, of his own wisdom, decide that his character would find more fertile soil in which to grow if he chose the way of a soldier or a fisherman. But surely, said Mary, it is his duty to become a priest. His first duty is to himself, to continue to grow towards the sun. We think ourselves gifted with foresight because we know that he has been a priest and could be again. But the man of integrity knows his own heart better than even those most close to him can ever know it. It would be foolish of us to think that we can foretell the future because we can see the probabilities conceived in the past. When Nekht has chosen his role, we may be able to show him how it can most easily be fulfilled, so that he will waste little energy on paths which branch from a road he wishes to follow. It is probable that to him dreams will always be very vivid. Let him tell you about them so that you are interested, but no more so than if they were waking adventures. Never let him think that his experiences are different or in any way remarkable. Do not display undue curiosity, for children, like animals, require and guard their privacy. Remember that though away from earth he is mighty in magic, on earth he will for several years continue to be a child. He will be subject to the fears of a child, and at least in part to the limitations of a child's mind. Many potential priests choose a different road because of the fear which the memory of certain experiences aroused when the body was not yet strong enough to accept them. Always be very gentle with him. If he wishes to sleep with a lamp in his room, never tell him that he is too old to be afraid of the dark. Remember that for a body not yet mature to contain so great a spirit is often an almost intolerable strain. It may make him nervous or shy, or perhaps to hide this even from himself, he may appear absurdly daring or even tiresomely aggressive. Away from earth, he is as a great river, but his body is an aqueduct of which all the stones are not yet in place. Until he is skilled with the sluice gates of his will, sometimes he may allow too much power to flow, sometimes too little. One day he may appear too wise for his years. Perhaps you will feel worried that he concerns himself with matters in which he seems too young to deal. The next day you may be impatient because he seems such a very ordinary boy, absorbed in making a fish trap with a sailing boat, or should he share Beckett's taste with catching frogs in a muddy water channel. But gradually those sluice gates will work smoothly. He will achieve top balance on both sides of the river, and thus become the man who is also the priest who is also the man. One who claims that he is more than ordinary man because he cannot be influenced by pleasures or discomforted by pain, who must be over-particular about his diet lest the fibers of his soul become coarsened, who must either remain immobile so that his vital energies may be conserved by meditation, or else must take excessive exertion so that his body is too weary to make any claims on his attention. Such a man is not a priest, even though he may possess certain powers by which the credulous are unduly impressed. But when you meet one to whom you can say, "You are my brother, you are a man as I am. Yesterday you were weak as I am weak, but now you are a little stronger than I, and so can tell me how I too can grow." If you can say to him, "If we were to drink wine together, we should both name the same vintage as the best, and if there was a choice of 20 meats, we should both fill our food bowl from the same dish. and the women we love might be twin sisters. If you can say to him, that which I suffer, you have suffered also. You are close to me, you are my friend. You are ordinary as I am ordinary, and that is why you can understand why I am unhappy, and know what has caused my unhappiness. Yesterday you were in sorrow, as I am now, but you found a cure for sorrow, and that cure shall be mine also. For are we not brothers? And if he, whom you shall call brother, is given that name also by the thief and by the cripple, by him who is betrayed, and by the betrayer, by the concubine, by the wife, by the overseer, and by the beggar, then he has another name as well as brother. That so ordinary a man is a true priest. So this starts here saying part 2. So up to now I've read out of part 1. And the first chapter of 2 is Net of Intrigue. Have a good Thursday.